Well, hello and welcome to Kernels, an ongoing series of short videos from the State Library of Iowa. I'm Bonnie McKewon, consultant with the Northwest District Office of the State Library, and I'm joined today by Helen Rigdon, director of the Sioux City Public Library, who I'll introduce in just a minute. First, some background about Kernels. Each installment is a quick pop of professional development that spotlights a popular library program or service. Maybe it's a new twist on a traditional service. Kernels feature library staff discussing their work so that other in-practice librarians can learn from their experience. You'll find Kernels posted to the State Library's Continuing Education YouTube channel. There's an entire playlist there, so I hope you'll circle back to watch any of them at any time. I think we're up to about 11 now. These videos are often are also cross-posted inside Iowa Learns, our learning management system, where you can watch them there for CE credit. So now on with today's Kernel. Sioux City Library Director Helen Rigdon is here to talk about a new service for Sioux City residents, circulating wireless hotspots. But I learned not just any hotspot, these are smarter hotspots. Helen made the move to Siouxland from Kansas about 3 years ago, and she has since become active with the ILA Foundation and with state library ventures like this. So welcome, Helen, and thanks so much for doing this. I know I didn't give a very complete description of your career path that brought you to Sioux City, so you're welcome to say more about that if you like. I wanted to start, though, with an explanation of your library's recent acquisition of smarter hotspots with more features than people may be familiar with in using the traditional wireless hotspots. So can you explain the difference between them and some of the ways in which Sioux City Library patrons are using them?
Sure. We started investigating some streaming services and things. And then, of course, we realized that there are many people in Sioux City, which is our service area, that do not have access to the internet. So then we started thinking about traditional hotspots, which I think everyone's kind of familiar with. It's a little black box that runs on, cellular phone signal, and it projects that, 8 devices, 9 devices can log in to the internet. Well, what we also found out was there are several families and individuals that do not even have a device. If they have a cell phone, it's a flip phone. So they don't have any access to even get on the internet. And so they, had that need. So I was doing some exploration and I found a webinar on these things called smarter hotspots. And really, they are very nice. We have them in 2 different sizes, and I have to put it up. This is the phone size, and you can see we can customize them with our streaming and internet services like our Freegal. We also have Libby on there and our Canopy service, and then some of our other services. But we also, because they said the phones were the most popular with children or teens, especially because they like to keep them in their pocket, they said the best for the older patrons, and which would be me too, is the tablet size.
The tablet size.
So we got them in 2 different sizes. Now you might think that, well, it can get to the internet, so they just need their library card number, but also it is a hotspot, and it will allow, if there are other devices, it will allow up to 8 other devices to connect to the internet. So it does both things. It allows them the actual connection to the internet, but then it's a device so they can either peruse the internet or work and save it to the internet, different things like that, check their email, a lot of different things.
Well, what I think is another really good advantage for the library is then your ability to kind of brand this service and brand the devices with Sioux City's digital collections and digital resources.
That was one thing that we thought was we really liked. We didn't want a
Yes,
device that, said the company that we bought them from, or,
yes.
or had generic links. They allow us to put what we want on that screen, and then it goes from there. But the company's been really easy to work with, and our patrons have been using it, and they use it for homework. We have some that never have used a computer or ever had access to one, except here, and he's very excited to have this. It's like he has his own little computer in his pocket, he says. So there's been some really good stories about them, and people are using them. They're finding them useful.
Oh, that's great. That is great. When you and I first started talking about this topic as a kernel, I wondered just how many Iowa libraries maybe are at this point of circulating hotspots. I didn't know. I asked Scott Dermont at our Des Moines office just how many Iowa libraries are now lending hotspots, whether the smarter variety that you have or the more familiar, because that was actually a question on last year's annual survey. And Scott tells me that the number was 42 public libraries in Iowa answered yes to that question last year. So at this year's point of filling out the annual survey, that number may be higher, but at this point it's 42. So these really are becoming more common as circulating items in libraries. How did Sioux City Library Board and staff come to this idea, this new service of circulating hotspots, smarter hotspots for Sioux City? And this has been available since January of this year.
It started, we were exploring, like I said, some streaming services, Canopy, but our main concern was it isn't a service that would be available or, offering for everybody, because if they didn't have internet, and if you don't have a internet able device, you couldn't access or use it. So that's when we started doing the exploration. We talked about the regular hotspots, and then we came upon these. So first of all was the funding. So there is a MERD grant that is a local Missouri River Historical District grant. So I spoke with our friends at the library. They were kind of at loose ends because they didn't get to have their book sale last year, and their main focus is supporting the library. So they wrote this grant for us. We helped them with some stats and stuff, but they reached out to a lot of partnership organizations like the Area Agency on Aging. They reached out to some of the shelters and things like that to get their support, the school district. And so they went ahead and wrote it, and we were awarded it, and enough money to pay for this service on all the devices, buy the devices and service for 2 years, because once you buy the device, then you have to pay your monthly like cell phone bill on each device, so which runs about $40 a month per device. So they allowed us to do this, which was a great thing, and it made them feel like they were still valuable to us, which they are, but they were really, really struggling with, not being able to help us. So this has been a great thing. So then after that, we kind of started devising a policy form, because we wanted to have all our ducks in a row before we went to the board. So we cobbled together a policy kind of from a lot of different other libraries, went on their webpage. And then we didn't name it just a hotspot policy. We named it electronic devices, because in case we get more things in the future, we can just customize it a little bit. But yeah, so we did that. And then once we knew we had been awarded the grant, we hadn't received the money, we went to the board and they approved it and thought it was a great thing, and we're behind it 100%. So And this all was in like October of last year, I think. And then we got the hotspots, and it took a little bit for us to get them set up. We went around the city for when we got our first one to make sure there was good service, decent service in all areas of the city, because it is like a cell phone. So there could be dead spots. But it was did well, and all, well, at least the areas we checked, we went north, south, east, and west, and then like in apartment complexes and stuff. But so we found that they're working, and no one has come back to us and said that they couldn't connect to the signal. So
Well, what a good idea, that the test driving of these, and really smart in a metropolitan area like Sioux City, a pretty big, geographic area. I don't know if maybe in a smaller community, um, although cell signals in smaller communities can be kind of sketchy too.
yeah. And that is one thing, if you were going to explore even just regular hotspots, you'd want to make sure whatever carrier has the best coverage in your area. I know Verizon has hotspots in Sioux City, the typical hotspots. And then I know US Cellular just moved here, in the last year or so, and they offer hotspots as well. So, I would encourage, if you want to just circulate a regular hotspot, start with those that use whichever has the best signal that can reach your patrons, especially if you're in the rural area and your patrons are, county-wide or something. Sometimes that can be tricky for them.
Well, that's a good tip, and I have to come back just a bit to what you said about your friends group, because I really think that's such an interesting observation about how your friends group last year felt kind of adrift in the same way that our library staff did, because of the pandemic. Your friends group just really was really wondering, what can we do when their typical fundraiser, which I know is huge for Sioux City, your Friends of the Library book sale is just such a huge event for them,
Yeah.
and they couldn't do it in 2020. I think that's just such an interesting observation, that they were also wondering what could be their contribution.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, all the stars were in alignment then. And I know that you also mentioned cost. Can you come back to that point? I know
Sure.
cost is uppermost on people's minds, typically when they launch a new service. So there's the one-time outlay to
Right.
purchase the devices, and then you mentioned the ongoing cost for the service.
Right. The phone size, we ordered 10 of those, and they run about, well, it's 179.98, so really 180 you have to pay up front for those. And then the tablet sizes, what does that say? Oh, no, that's a solution. The tablet sizes are, and I do not have that order in front of me, but it was about $300 for those.
Okay.
So, and then what my staff did when we got them in, they numbered them all, and then they put together a little kit. We have them in plastic bags.
Oh, very good. So the whole kit is checked out to a
Right.
patron. Okay.
And then my public communications, and graphics person, she put together this handy how to use it that goes in each of the kits, and that's laminated. So it, kind of walks them through. But so they are a little expensive at first for that outlay,
Mhm.
but once you have it, then you have it. You just pay, and it's roughly, like I said, I think it's $40 per device monthly for the service, the cell service. It would be like if you were, your cell phone at home.
Sure.
So, I know it can be cost prohibitive, but maybe with some of the money coming. Now, I know that for regular hotspots, a lot of times the services, cell companies will give those away free, and you just pay for the service.
The
So
service.
Yeah.
But then, you know, it is a cost, an initial
Hmm.
cost to purchase the devices. But then your story, I think, is such a good one to encourage other libraries to investigate this, because you had the support of your friends group and you also had the support of a grant that they wrote. So this would also be a legit purchase for libraries to use their direct state aid money. So
Yeah.
there's some, you know, so there's some sources of money out there that could help other libraries accomplish this.
Yeah, and there might be, you know, we don't know the parameters yet of the new rescue money that's going to be coming, and
Right.
you know, that's another uh, upcoming, you know, funding source that might work for some libraries. But it does make a difference for the people, and you know, they are so happy to have it. And you know, one family checks one out, and you can't place a hold on them or anything, and there's 7 days and they have to bring it back, but then they just check out another one if there's one available. So
I
they,
see.
yeah, they always have one. So they've learned a lot. They like our canopy, but you know, it's been a you know, it's not been a challenge really. The company's been great to work with, and my tech staff, he handled them and got them all set up, and he was the smart one. Don't It wasn't my idea, but it was his idea to drive around town to test them, so to make sure they got signals.
Well,
So
that's a good idea. I think that's just such a great tip. Um, you also mentioned a little bit ago about the policy that the library
mhm,
board developed, the lending policy, and I like the fact too that you named it to be an electronic device lending, so that in
right.
case there are more opportunities in the future, you can just expand on that policy. You know, as more libraries are investigating this topic, and for those boards and staff who might be planning to do this soon, can other libraries access your policy for some tips so it's not all original writing?
That's right. Why reinvent the wheel? I mean, libraries were so great about, you know, sharing. And so I think, yeah, I'd encourage you, you can go to our website and the About
Let me
Us.
do that. Let
Okay.
me bring forward your library's website, and I can show people where your policy lives. Um, I think you're seeing it now, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, here's from this carousel picture that you see in front of us. I'll just click on this, and that should take us inside your library's catalog, and there your Sioux City borrowers with library cards, Sioux City residents with library cards, because this is not a open access proposition. They can see what's available. Like you said, these are not people are not able to put these on hold, but they can see the availability inside the catalog. But let me find your policy so that people who are watching this, when they get to that point, it's under the tab About Us, and then click the tab that says Publications and Policies. Look at all those beautiful graphics. That's the benefit of having a communications specialist on staff. Look at those
You don't want to see
things.
anything if I had to do it.
Look at those promos and flyers and annual reports and the library strategic plan, which I love to see. I love to see that document up on library websites. But as we scroll down the page, we can see electronic device circulation policy. So I'll bring that up. And if there are any points you'd like to make about this,
You know, I think the
we
one
maybe
main
have
thing,
touched on it. Yeah, we maybe have touched on these, but
well, we went, you know, we decided, you know, they had to be at least 18 years or older
okay.
and with a photo ID, because it is a pricey piece of equipment they're checking out. So we did that, and then we also have a form, and they keep them up at the service desks. But it's kind of an agreement that, you know, you understand what's in the bag when you check it out, including the charger, the charging cable, the actual device itself, and then when you bring it item back in. You can't put them in our book drops because you have to come in and then we sign off that everything was returned in working
Okay.
condition.
So you look inside the bag for all of the
Mhm.
contents that should be there.
Right, right. So, you know, it's worked well. We've not had anybody, you know, drop them in the bathtub or anything like that. So, yeah, we've been pretty happy so far with them. You know, we'd like to get it out there a little bit more and see more people using them, but you know, our circulation has been pretty good on them. And but it's just a service that we again have to continue working to get the word out to the public. But yeah, our policy, it's pretty simple really, and it's just kind of laid out there.
But still some really good tips that that are great to share with other boards who might be poised right at this point of wanting to do this, but now needing a policy before they can actually make them available.
Down into our policy, there is the one thing that staff was wondering is like, well, what if they don't bring it back and they use it forever? We have the power to the day after it's due back. My staff always checks them. Then we can turn off the service to it. And so then it's just a brick.
Oh, got it. Then it's a doorstop,
Yeah.
basically.
And so
Yes.
they usually return them. We've not had to do that so far. But that was a concern when we were, you know, what if someone just
Sure.
kept it? Now they can't make phone calls on them because there is no number that they know of associated with it. And of course they can't download any programs or games or anything like that.
Well, very good. That's a helpful policy for libraries to look at, and all of those tips are just so helpful to share with other libraries who might be approaching this themselves. And I know this is pretty early in this new service for Sioux City. This just really launched in January. So even though it's early, do you have some stories, or have you heard about the kind of response you've seen early on from people who have checked these out and used them?
Yeah, I kind of talked through them in a couple, but we do have the gentleman that had never had his own personal computer. He knew computers, but he had never had internet at home. And, you know, he was so tickled and he's so excited to come and check him out because he said it's like he has his own little computer now. And he's, you know, it's opened up a whole new world for him. He loves to go onto the internet and, you know, look at things. So, but then we had a family that their son was coming home for spring break and they wanted to be able to come in and use our Wi-Fi. Well, we didn't have the chairs and things out at that time. We just now have did it. So, you know, he would have had to set like outside the library to do that. But so we said, how about checking out one of these? And so they took it home and, you know, it allowed him his computer to hook up to it. But also the younger children could use the device that, you know, they were looking at, you know, whatever kids look at on the internet now. I think it's watching other kids open and games or something. I don't know. That's what my friends tell me. And so anyhow, they were able to do that. And then the father hit, you know, with his cell phone, he could then make it, you know, connect to the wireless. So, you know, he wasn't using his data plan. So, you know,
Okay.
yeah, the whole family was using it. And the son was really tickled because then he had an assignment that was due. And so he could get that completed and get it sent in. So, yeah, there's been, you know, several little stories like that. People, once they know about them, they really like them. So
Those are such good impact stories to share everywhere, yeah,
yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah,
to share with the council and other funders. I think those stories are important for people to know about. It's just such a great impact story for a contribution that a public library makes.
yeah. Because a lot of people, you know, again, there are still people out there think we're just books, but you know,
Right.
as we all know, I'm
We
preaching to the
know.
choir that we're so much more. But
We are so much more. Well, Helen, I want to thank you so much for your time today in sharing this information, this new service at Sioux City Public Library.
Anybody can reach out to me if you have any questions, if you want to know the company's name. I can give you some contact information there. Yeah, just holler.
Oh, very good. I want to tell people that at the end of this video, you'll see a slide with contact information for Helen. You'll find her email on that closing slide. So you're welcome to. I'm glad you said that. You're welcome to contact Helen here at Sioux City Public Library with follow-up questions. We will also probably link you to a couple of resources in case you want to read more about this from the PLA website. Helen and I found a interesting article. It's a collection almost of, it almost looks like a toolkit called The Digital Libraries Creating New Possibilities, the Hotspot Playbook. So that's a link on PLA's website and from PC Magazine, a very recent issue of PC Magazine. There's an article called The Best Mobile Hotspots for 2021. So we'll hook you up with those resources as well. In the meantime, thank you, Helen, again so much for your time. And thank all of you for watching. Remember, if you want to earn CE credit for watching this kernel or any of the others that we have accumulated, then log into your Iowa Learns account. Simply watch the video inside your Iowa Learns account and complete the evaluation. Otherwise, you can find all of these on our YouTube channel. And remember too, that if you have something to share from your library, a new program, a new initiative, a new twist on a traditional service, we are always looking for topics to add to our assortment of kernels, so please let us know because we want to hear from you. Thank you so much, Helen. This was fun, and thanks to all of you for watching.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Yes.